All right, how's that better? No more echo. Sorry, I always forget that. People don't believe me when I say that I'm not technical, but it's true. If you guys have any questions about the DVDs or the syllabus, you all should have a syllabus that goes over the basics of the DVDs and the order and stuff like that. Email admin@timothysykes.com. Some people prefer the hard copy DVDs. Some people prefer streaming versions. So we try and get everybody. Dang Lieb says, had my first win today. Tell us the details, Dang Lieb. What'd you do? Did you bank on live or INVT? Those are my two guesses. Or was it, what was that other one that I missed? KTOV. I'm guessing you won on one of those three. And I am right. You were in on INVT. Everybody please congratulate Dang Lieb on making a quick 10% on INVT. Zulum says, I still can't hit the buy button. Armin says, I keep losing. It's okay, guys. Armin says, INVT wasn't part of your watch list. How was it spotted? You guys need to get in the chat room just before the market opens, ideally around 9 a.m. Eastern or 9:15 a.m. Eastern, and see what are spiking pre-market, and look at the chat room right around like 9:25 a.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, and 9:35 a.m. Eastern. That's how you spot stocks that weren't necessarily spiking the prior day. INVT, you can see here, really started spiking. Actually, it was a little bit of a delayed breakout here at 10:30ish, but it was already up. This is just a today chart. It was already up to start the day, right at the open at 160ish. And if you look at the news, I had it up. I had to restart my computer. I have computer problems. Just wait till you hear about my Ferrari problems. INVT at 10 a.m., they outlined their current strategy and highlights. And they basically said, 200 billion in relevant annual revenue of potential licensees. This is a total crock of crap. But at the same time, the stock is breaking out and, breaks out past the previous day high here at 165. And the chat room nailed it. It's tough for me to ever really buy these or alert these because literally the breakout was right here at 1020. And by 1045, the run up is over. So if I'm even 5 or 10 minutes late, spotting the perfect breakout, or by the time you get the alert, sometimes there's email delays, it's totally gone. What I did nail today very well and actually traded pretty weakly was GPro. I was buying it in here on the breakout of the day high around 1740. And there was no real way to lose money. It just didn't really go anywhere for the first hour. And then it was more of a delayed spike, and the Apple rumor has really done wonders for this. And congrats to those of you with patience who held this. I didn't expect a big delayed run up. I thought that if it was going to be an Apple takeover rumor, then it should spike right near the open. And we got a little bit of a spike. I made like 10 cents a share, but it was just weak. It reminds me of TXMD, which I've been buying it in the low 9s and selling it for 10 cents a share. It has this huge spike, and then it just can't really do anything. GPro, on the other hand, has continued its gains and just keeps going, which is awesome. And then Live is the other play that we're watching today. This one had earnings, and a lot of people are confused. I still have to do a video lesson on this because you're like, Tim, sometimes you say, or a lot of the time you say, never short earnings winners. And this one was a little different because, yes, it was an earnings winner, but it was an earnings winner, here. This is when they said earnings were going to be good. So all of this from basically 1.4 to 2.4, a dollar a share and spiking, the earnings are already priced in. And at the same time, were the earnings really that good? And if you look into the data and you realize how sketchy this company is, it's not as good as you think. So I actually had a pretty good short this morning at 310ish. I thought that I got 2,000 shares executed. As it turns out, I only got 1,000. But I am thankful that E-Trade had shares to short, and I covered for nice safe profits of a few $100. So I nailed the G Pro runner. I sold a little too soon, way too soon. And then live, I nailed the short and covered rather well. So I'm pretty happy with my two trades, even though I'm only up a few $100. A few $100 a day is really solid with such small positions, mind you. I wasn't trading big. Both of these were speculative. I'm not going to short a stock like Live big and risk it, getting away from me. I think that's what this whole run-up was caused by, like shorts who were thinking that it wouldn't spike at all, and they got caught, wrong-footed. So I'm not going to trade this aggressively. G Pro, it's a little bit of a higher price stock. It's a takeover rumor, which isn't exactly my ideal catalyst, and it's a higher price stock with a terrible long-term chart. So not exactly ideal. So when the stocks aren't ideal, I'm going to exit safer, and I'm going to trade them more conservatively. But I am glad that I alerted G Pro, and you could see that it was easy to spot. It was already up pre-market. And I'm glad that I shorted Live, because now you can see that angle. So more and more of you guys are understanding. Let's see. Armin says, yeah, my bad. My baby girl needed me and missed the opening. Hey, that's okay. Focus on family. Focus on your priorities. That's good. Every now and then we miss a trade. Later today, I'm flying to go meet the whole team. We have over 30 people plus now on the team. And we're having a holiday Christmas party in one very special spot. So later today I'm flying, so I really can't even do that much today trading-wise. And that's just because, we've had a great year. The company deserves to have a really solid Christmas party or Hanukkah party. Let's see. INVT was a paid promotion too? Oh, I didn't even see that. Good spot, William McKelvey. I don't know why I have such a hard time pronouncing your name. I'm sorry. How you been, William? William was one of my dedicated mastery students, and he came to Miami a few months ago, and he's been doing well. I see some tweets from him every now and then. Glad to see you're doing well. Let's see. How do I find stocks to short? Same way I find stocks to buy. I'm always looking at big percent gainers. Big percent gainers. Let's see. Tim, I'm having trouble with FOMO and jumping in too early. Do you have any tips? What's FOMO? Oh, fear of missing out? Yeah, a lot of people have fear of missing out. There's people who are too aggressive and they overtrade or they take too big positions. I've got students who are afraid to take any positions. What I say to both of them is take small positions. That's a good compromise. And, you don't risk losing too much. And, it helps you get comfortable. The whole thing with this is getting comfortable. You guys need to understand it's all about getting used to these patterns, getting used to these catalysts, getting used to the volatility. Because what I teach is frankly kind of weird. Okay, it's not taught in any schools. 99.9% of the world thinks that all of these stocks should be avoided. So when you're going against common accepted wisdom, a lot of this is just getting used to it and understanding that, yes, sometimes you will miss out. I totally missed out on INVT. I totally sold G Pro too soon. I nailed Live. Live, I'm very proud of that trade. I wish I had a bigger position, but actually it doesn't really matter for me. I'm trading with a small account. I have to get used to trading with just $12,000 next year, so it's probably better that I trade small right now. I'm up nearly $200,000 in 2015 trading profits after starting with $100,000. I have no idea what I'm going to be capable of with trading just $12,000 next year. But we will see, and we'll see together, and we'll see in real time, and that is the beauty of this educational experience. So don't fear missing out. Don't fear getting out too soon. Fear blowing up. Okay? It's good to fear blowing up. It's good to be afraid. It's good to trade afraid. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people give me crap because of how scared I trade. Well, I am the teacher to the most number of students, I think, of anybody in the stock market. Like, it's kind of crazy when you look at the numbers. I think you can get a sense of, I've been retweeting some students lately just because I haven't been traveling, and I want to show you the kinds of messages that I get every single, second or minute. So when I have this many students, I feel like I have to show you at least, one method that I think should work for everybody. And that means trading scared. Um, some of you guys can be gunslingers on your own time, but I'm not going to teach that or promote that. My fiance is just waking up. She looks beautiful. I can't help it. I'm distracted. But anyways, yeah, don't fear missing out. Fear being too aggressive, okay? Let's see. Crassy says, I read that somewhere, plan your trade and then trade your plan. I guess I couldn't plan any trades today, so no trade at all. That's fine. It's okay not to trade. Brokers aren't especially big fans of me because I say you don't have to trade. Think of yourself as a retired trader and only come back into the game when there's a play that's good enough. And brokers are like, shut up, Tim. Like, trade every day. Follow breaking news. You got to be there at the market open every day. Look at the vwap. And they come up with all bullshit to try and get you to trade more because they know that 90% of traders lose, and it doesn't cost them anything when traders lose because they just want commissions. So brokers are not your friends. Anybody who says that you should trade all the time or that you have to be in front of your computer all the time or that you should scalp and make 2 cents here or 5 cents there and that's how you grow your account, that's bullshit, okay? They are somehow making money off your trading. And there's all sorts of deals out there with brokerage commissions. I don't have any brokerage commissions. I don't have any broker deals. E-Trade and Interactive Brokers want nothing to do with me because I don't tell my people to trade a lot and because I trade annoying penny stocks. And my people are always asking for shares to short of these annoying penny stocks. So don't fear the way that I teach because the way that I teach is in your own best interest. It's in my own best interest to make you as profitable as possible, because that's how my business grows, through testimonials. And frankly, that's why I have more millionaire students than anybody else, because I don't care about trading commissions, and I don't want you to scalp yourselves to death, and I don't want you to overtrade, and fear of missing out is perfectly acceptable. Remember, most of us are young. I have some older students. There was a guy in my Vegas conference, he looked like Blue from Old School, and I don't know if he's still with us, but he was a fantastic guy. When I did meet him, he was telling me how he made like 40 grand in a day. And I was like, yo, dude, you got to spend that. You don't have that much time left. Like, you don't even have to worry about taxes. Like, if I was 90 and I made 40 grand in a day, I would just be a tax cheat and I would just spend it. But I'm not 90, and most of you guys are not 90, so don't be a tax cheat. Pay your taxes, respect the law, and do aim to make 40 grand in a day, because that would be fantastic. Oh, I see another person. Sergey YS says, went long, live, in at 224, out at 288. The comments are going too fast. Live, in at 224, out at 288. I got to add that. I'm trying to keep track of all these testimonials today. Kind of crazy. I'll give you props to that, but I'm not going to tell other people to congratulate you because you risked a lot. You had no idea what live was going to say, and a lot of people made a lot of money on live, but they waited for the news to happen. Never, ever, ever should you risk on a stock like that, especially, okay, they're teasing good news, but maybe the good news is priced in. So I'm not going to give you too much credit for holding overnight, but it is cool when you can make $800, but be a little more disciplined. David Oliveira says, on Friday I held live at 2:30, but I couldn't get out until Monday morning at 2:02. Was that a good trade even though I lost money? Yeah, I mean, sometimes you lose money. I would try and cut losses a little quicker. I wouldn't like to lose 30 cents a share on a $2 stock. That's a 15% loss. But sometimes you have to lose. Tim, yesterday on TXMD, can we consider 925 resistance? Yeah, TXMD, oh my God, right as we're giving this webinar, of course. I had a feeling it was going to do this. TXMD has been close to breaking out now for 3 straight days, and we're coming right up to multi-day resistance at 940-ish. I'm not going to buy it at the top of this range. It could keep going, and it looks like it is, but I'm still not going to risk it because it's midday, and mostly because I have to be on a plane in about an hour and a half. So I can't really do anything here. It just doesn't fit with my own travel schedule. But 925 was resistance and 940 was resistance. And I didn't really want to buy it this morning because it looked like it had cracked 9 support. But this is such a choppy stock. It's so inexact. The long story short is that you want to buy at the bottom of the range and ideally sell it in the top of the range. So I would be selling it here if I was long, from 9-ish. Let me actually tell the chat room that real quick. TXMD successfully broke the 940 multi-day resistance, but just barely. I have zero confidence in it given its choppy nature. If I was long at 9-ish from either yesterday or today, I'd be selling here for 40 cents a share profit. And that's what I mean by playing it safe. Maybe it keeps going, but for me, I just don't want to risk it because it's failed at this key level so many times. GoPro, fantastic, just keeps going. That's awesome. I have no words to say that. Sometimes I just miss it. Perhaps I should have rebought it when it broke the day higher here at like 1770-ish. But again, today is kind of crazy for me. I was on TMZ, so I have all these wannabe rappers hitting me up. I got some cool sports stars hitting me up. And I got my new Ferrari, and it's actually broken already. 1 day into owning a Ferrari. So I gotta actually, I don't know. I gotta show you guys. When it was broken, I made like a 10-minute video because I was just trying not to like flip out on the tow truck guy. So I guess I'll upload that video. So I got a bunch of stuff going on for me. So I'm not in the ideal mindset right now to really trade. And you have to recognize that because life happens to all of us, whether you have a screaming baby or a broken Ferrari or a sick puppy, whatever the case may be. We all have different lives, but it can influence the way we trade. And if you don't recognize that and you don't adapt, it's not just one trade, one strategy fits all. On days that I travel, I'm going to be a lot more conservative. I know most traders on days that they travel, they say, I'm going away tomorrow, I'm not even going to trade. For me, I'm a little too much of an addict and I have a little too much responsibility to give you guys alerts, and I think I did a good job this morning. Let me get a drink of water so I don't lose my voice. How you doing? Nice. Awesome. Which one is this? Nice. That's going to be beautiful. I'm excited. We better get to stay there free forever. You're like, I'll promote you, but I don't want to stay there. Let's see. What's going on with this TXMD? Good, it's failing. So it's not a coincidence that when it tries to break out, it fails, especially midday. You cannot really trust midday breakout attempts. Sometimes they work, but for me, I'm a probability guy. And the probability of this one actually working midday, sorry, it's just not there. So time and again, I would say take profits. Let's see. Oh, small cap leader had the INVT email blast. That's cool. Thanks, William, for sharing. Whoa, lots of questions. Let's see. Legion made $600 on VRA. RP Data made $260. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the video, you'll hear me say, I'm like, at the end of the day, I have Ferrari problems. Life could be worse. Even though that's why I actually had to cancel yesterday's webinar. I wanted to show off the Ferrari, and I was going to drive it around, and it was going to be a cool webinar. And then the thing broke, and I spent the next literally 6 hours dealing with a few different Ferrari dealerships and tow trucks, and it's not a fun world. So I made a video where I kind of lose my mind, but I also try and keep everything in perspective. It's tough. Let's see. How do you find stocks to short? You just try with a different broker, you know? I saw live spiking, and I wasn't going to short it, you know, because I knew a lot of students were long, but I gave several warnings in the chat room before I shorted it. And I was like, I think this thing tops out in the low threes, and I think it's going to go to twos. So when I wrote that, I was not short. And then I just looked and I tried to short it at E-Trade, and they had shares to short, so I shorted. And it turned out to be, you know, I couldn't have timed that better. I couldn't have called that better. I'm very proud of that. And I made like, I don't know, like $300-400. Let's see. Do you think that live earnings are sketchy when they say, yeah, I mean, again, I don't look at necessarily the numbers. Like, you can manipulate numbers. You can have tax credits. You can have all sorts of stuff. They're acquiring companies and saying it's growth. What I care about is the reaction. And it already had the earnings positive reaction priced in. And I think today's spike was just due to over-aggressive shorts getting squeezed. So I thought that today's spike was very temporary. So while it's confusing to short an earnings winner, I really was just shorting a short squeeze and taking advantage of over-aggressive shorts. So it's a little more, you know, subtle. What do I think about XBIT? XBIT. I mean, this isn't a chart that I trade, and I know that they had some positive news and some shorts thought that it wasn't so deserved, but, you know, it's got resistance right above it in the 12s, 13s. Now it's coming down. It's off of its highs of the 16s. There's no play for me there. You don't trade commodities, but things like equipment for drilling, would that still be tradable? No, that's all influenced by the commodity price. I go over that in penny stocking. Let's see. Tim, this is my first webinar. What's a webinar? I want to give a webinar. You give your opinion of BNK and LUC. Sure, BNK. Irrelevant. It looks like it was an acquisition type news. In acquisition news, you see a big spike, and then it's just a merger arbitrage, and that's not a strategy I suggest for any small trader or investor. And what was the other one? LUK. And this is a terrible chart too. So RP data, this is your first webinar, so I'll give you a break. If this was not your first webinar, I would tell you to smack yourself in the head 42 times for bringing up two bad charts. And I highly, highly, highly encourage you to watch my DVDs so that you can trade the right charts. Armin says, how do you spot these last-minute gainers? Do you run a scan every 10 minutes? No. Again, it's, you know, Stocks to Trade will do it. We have nearly 100 people beta testing it. Those of you who came to the Vegas conference should have received information if you signed up there. That was a special Vegas conference deal. If you have any Stocks to Trade questions, again, send an email to admin@timothysykes.com, and my team will try to help you. But aside from that scanner, you know, the chat room, we have nearly 1,000 traders in the chat room. Everyone is talking about, you know, big gainers pre-market. We simplify it very well. And once you see a big percent gainer, you see what the news is. And it turned out that, you know, an analyst said that Apple might acquire them. That's enough of a catalyst for me. Let's see. John Fine says, Tim, I'm in recovery mode and slowly getting more disciplined. Been focusing on dip buys, but still having trouble getting caught long when I dip buy thinking the stock is bouncing, only for it to fake out and continue a strong downtrend. You know, sometimes that happens. I dip buy, and sometimes it's just a wall of sellers, or sometimes it can barely bounce, and I cut losses. You know, if you go in for a dip buy, try and buy a stock above support. I'll give you an example on TXMD, which just keeps teasing the highs, but I'm not going to chase it because of my travel schedule. You know, when I was buying it, one of these times, I don't think it was yesterday. I think it was one of these choppy ones. Or maybe it was yesterday. Yeah, I guess I did buy it yesterday also. So I was looking at $9 a share as key support. And why did I choose $9? Because if you look at the multi-year chart, it topped out right here at $9, and then it topped here at like $8.87. So I'm using $9 as support. So it was already off its highs, but I'm thinking, you know what, it's going to hold this multi-year breakout at 9-ish. And then, you've had multi-day resistance at 940. So it's in this range between 9 and 940. So if you're going to dip buy, you want the stock to be holding just above support, which this was. And, even though it's a very inexact process, today it went down to the 880s. For the most part, it's held this multi-year breakout. And that's why shorts, 20 plus million shorts, are scared. And that's why it's trending towards the top of its range. I don't know if it's going to break 940. But if it comes back down to 9, I will definitely rebuy it. And if it breaks 9, I will sell, and I will lose 10, 15 cents a share or whatever. Nima Hawk says, I'm sure one of the DVDs has a vwap explanation. Nope, I don't give a shit about the vwap. I know so many traders who are obsessed with it, and they say it works. I've never looked at it. It's never worked for me. I think it's just a tool to get you to scalp more. That's what I think it is. Everyone's looking for like these little breakouts and these little VWAPs and reasons to trade. I'm looking for reasons not to trade. That's why a lot of people and a lot of brokers don't like me, because I think opposite. So if you want to be a scalper and you want to be like, oh, the VWAP just broke, so it could go from 910 to 932. Oh, that was a good win, 20 cents on a $9 stock. I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry to swear, but it's true. You see that I make 5, 10 cents a share, and you're like, Tim, but you're scalping too. That's not what I aim for. When I go into a trade, I'm looking for a big run. LIVE, I nailed a 50, 60 cent a share drop. That was perfect. G-Pro is now up like $1.50 a share from my buy alert. It was perfect. So today is a good example of stocks, really doing what I want. I got out of G-Pro too early, as I said, but I was on the right path. Anybody who cares about the VWAP and stuff like that, you're not necessarily buying an earnings winner that could really squeeze shorts or, shorting a pump and dump that can crash 50%. You're becoming a scalper. And you're trying to trade, and you're trying to make 10 cents here or 20 cents there. And, you see these traders where they show like 6 different tickers traded, and, they close out the end of the day, or maybe they have small positions, but they're trading like 4 or 5 positions at a time. That's not what I do. I've tried that. It didn't work for me. And if you look at traders who are trying that, there's a reason why, no one else has these millionaire students going from a few thousand to a few million. Because scalping does not work. You make 10 cents, you make 5 cents, you're up $2,000 on the day. The next day you make $1,000. The next day you make $3,000. Then you see Sykes is posting, I'm trading from Europe with his one screen and he only takes one position. I can understand why people, are jealous or hate me. We have different approaches to the market. I rarely will ever trade 4 or 5 stocks in one day. And if I do, I'm probably over trading. Or sometimes, there's just been a lot of plays lately. But usually I'm trading 1 or 2 stocks per day. And that's it. Because those stocks have big potential. So the VWAP can, you can throw VWAP out the window. I'm sorry. That's not for me. Let's see. What happened to Polis B? He's around somewhere. People go in and out when life gets in the way. What would be a good re-entry for live? I don't see anything now. It had this spike where you could take advantage of the short sellers getting screwed, and now it's down, and I don't know what it's going to do. Also the same, John Fine wants to know about shorting stocks near resistance. Again, that's scary. Like, we're seeing TXMD right here bumping up against resistance at 940. So a lot of people think, well, if Tim is going to buy it at 9, we might as well just short it at 940 if it's going to bounce in between this range. I'm always scared of the range breaking because this stock did have good news, and potentially the past few days have just been good consolidation. So this might be at 960 or 970 in a heartbeat. So I don't like necessarily short selling a stock with a good catalyst and a good multi-year breakout. I don't know how far this multi-year breakout goes. If this was up on a pump and dump and it was a multi-year breakout, then I might consider shorting because then it's a manipulated breakout. That's why I look at the different catalysts. So it's important to look at the catalyst and see what, potentially could be happening. I really wouldn't be surprised to see this thing at 970 or 980 or even over 10 in the next day. There's a really good chance that it's just been consolidating its gains. And the longer it holds on above 9 and the longer it holds above 940, the more likely it can keep going. And I probably would be long today, not now, midday, because this breakout looks to be stalling. But, it's a moot point because I'm traveling today, so I'm not even looking to trade. Any Canadian stocks that you would recommend to buy? Nope. I look at stocks with catalysts. I look at big percent gainers. I don't care if they're Canadian. I do care if they're oil because I don't want to tie it to a commodity. Mel's Doggy says this, so I've started a new rule for myself. Before any trade, I ask myself, are you chasing? If my answer is yes, I walk away from my desk so I don't trade it. Good. Is the chat available every day? Yes, if you go to the chat room, it's available every day, but not this chat room. This is just a chat room for webinars. But Michael Good is giving a webinar later today. Let's see. Yeah, TXMD is still stalling. I stand by my statement that I wouldn't go long. Let's see. I gave my Porsche to my uncle. Sometimes I reward friends, sometimes I reward students, sometimes I reward family. It's good to give. Let's see. No, I didn't really buy the Ferrari in cash. That was just for fun for the video. I don't carry around cash. I'm really not like a rapper. But I know what inspires people, and big stacks of cash seems to get you guys studying video lessons and webinars more. And that's all I want, because the more you study, the greater your odds of success. It's a very simple relationship. It's a very concrete relationship. The more you study, the better your odds of success. And it's very difficult because this stuff is boring. Sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes you lose. You put in 2 hours and then you lose money. Like, what kind of crappy job is that? But if you refine your technique and you learn from your mistakes, then you will see that no other job in the world can compare. Where you don't need a suit, you don't need bosses, you can do it from anywhere in the world, you don't need a college education, and you have some of the dumbest people I've ever met in the world making 6, 7, 8 figures a year. Tim, when you bought G Pro today, how did you know it was a breakout since it didn't move that much? I was looking at the day high when I bought it. So if you look back at my commentary today in the chat room, I was watching it right at the market open right here. And the high was like 1740-ish, and it dipped here to the 1720s, and I wasn't interested. The minute it broke above 1740, I was interested again because it was a new day high. And as it turned out, the real breakout was here later at 1770. I don't know if some news services spread the rumor, but I was a little off on my timing. But I'm always looking for stocks right at the open, and I want them to break the day high. I was also looking for, DGLY. And this one did not break the day high right near the open. So it started fading, so I wasn't interested in it, and that turned out to be a good call. INVT, the pattern doesn't matter. If it's a guaranteed stock promotion, it's manipulation. And judging from that press release with the 200, 300 billion in potential revenue, like it sounds like BS. But I'm scared to short it. No, the Ferrari broke not the day I bought it, but I had it shipped because I'm all over the place. I'm cross country. In LA and Miami and New York, and so I shipped it cross country and it died. I think as a result, because Ferraris need to be charged, and I think it died while it was on the truck. And then the problem became, normally you jump it, but Ferraris are a little fussy, and so you need like a special I don't know, a special tool, and then some reason the card didn't have the tool, so the tow truck guy couldn't do it. It was a mess. I'll show you my video. I'll upload it probably tomorrow or something. This is E-Trade Pro that I'm using. This is $100 a month that I pay. And this is pretty much what stocks to trade is going to look like. But better. But what I do is I look at the chart here. I look at level 2 here. And then I have my watch list here on the left-hand side. And then I have big percent gainers here. So it's a four window setup because I'm just trading off one laptop. I know most big traders trade with like multiple screens. They're sedentary. They sit all day long. They do this full time. I'm mobile. I'm living life. So just different strokes for different folks. What happened with VRA? It had good earnings and didn't spike prior earnings, so why did it fail on day 2? Yeah, I didn't even put VRA on my watch list because, frankly, it's just too big of a company, too high of a stock. You know, the breakout is right here. I don't know why you guys are like, oh, my God, it's failed on day 2. This is a crappy long-term chart. The only way that I would buy it here is at this breakout in the 14s when you have former resistance back here in May and then former resistance here in September. I don't know what the hell you guys are thinking this is going to go to. Look at the resistance right here in the 16s. That's where it is. You know, you have a monster resistance in the 17s. So you have to look at different levels. And this is not a good stock chart to chase. Let's see. Yeah, so INVT, if it is a pump, I didn't even realize that. You know, I'm just so scared. I'm so scared of shorting right now. And now it looks like it's coming back near its highs. You know, maybe tomorrow. I don't know what to do. I had SRG on my watch list. This is a new billionaire play with Buffett. I actually almost thought about buying it here at 38 and selling it in the 40s, but it's too high priced. Let me get rid of AEZS off my watch list because it's down. INVT. Too many stocks these days. INVT, yeah, you know, it might be a double top, but it might also break out in this crazy market. So given the fact that I'm traveling, I get to plead the fifth. It's very nice. Tim, when you set a stop loss, whether long or short, how do you cut losses? I don't set stop losses. I have mental stops. So if the stock just goes against me even a little bit, I'm out. Like 5, 10, 15 cents a share. It didn't do. Sometimes G-Pro wasn't even breaking out as fast as I wanted, so I got out. So sometimes I cut profits too soon. But that's how safe I trade. Could you give a list of stocks today what might be popular to some that you'd avoid? Yeah, I mean, INVT, this is a potential play, potential short since it's a pump. Live was a good short on the short squeeze, but now I don't see any play. KTOV had a morning spike. It's a low flow play, so I don't really want to short it. TXMD might be a potential buy on this multi-day breakout. G-Pro was a nice buy on the rumor, but now there's no play. That's about it. iPow was a nice scam, actually. Sophion, who's a challenge student, he just passed $100,000 in profits. I saw he tweeted about this, and this was a nice pump. I totally missed it. And PFHS is another pump that might be a potential short. And XLIT was also a potential short. This one's fading. So I'm looking to short pump and dumps. I'm looking to buy contracts and earnings winners. Same old, same old. There's a million stocks not to trade. Every other stock that I didn't mention is a stock not to trade. Is there a benefit to saving before you close E-Trade Pro? Yeah, I always save because sometimes I just forget when I added a new ticker and then I forget about it. if you make 30 trades in a quarter, each trade will give you free. Yeah, I guess I should talk to them. I don't even care. Let's see. Have you ever seen a pump-like pattern with no evidence fundamentally for it to be a pump? Hell yeah. How do you identify a stock as being pumped? First of all, you'd find it. There's a lot of stocks being pumped, but they don't move. They don't matter. So I only care about big percent gainers. So INVT was a big percent gainer. And then, kind souls like William are kind enough to share, the paid pump landing page. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to drop right now. I bet tomorrow, it being Friday, G Pro will explode. Maybe, but who knows? It's already exploding today. WGBS was a good short today. Yeah, I guess so. But it's also scary. Let's see. How do you tell the difference getting in on a runner and chasing? When the stock has run too far. So G Pro, I was buying it on the thought that, this could be a runner today. And I was buying the day high breakout right here at 1740. And I, probably should have rebought on the breakout here at 1770. Now, I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know if it's going to drop. They might say, no comment. It might explode. But you're very far away from this safety area. So it's pretty safe to buy a stock that's breaking day highs near the morning. As long as you understand, if you buy near the market open, sometimes it can be a quick trade. Like if you're buying a stock that's making new highs and then it just stops and you're done. So you have to be very careful near the open. That's why I was. But the further away you get from a breakout, the riskier it is. So TXMD, the breakout was at 9. The multi-year breakout is right at 9. So here at 938, it's a risk. It could keep going, but you have 40 cents of risk. And this stock has proven that it doesn't even hold support very well. So if you buy it right now, I believe that would be a chase. If it goes to like 950 or 960 and has a convincing breakout, then that might not be a chase because now it's actually proven that it can break out. So you have to kind of try and think, what kind of mode is the stock in? Are you dip buying it near $9 a share like I did a few times? Or are you trying to get the breakout at 940? If I'm buying it at 920, 930, 940, it's very far from support at 9. But if I'm buying it at 950 or 960 and it's breaking out, then support has now changed to 940 because it's a confirmed breakout. So I'm always looking at past levels to see where there might be some support. Let's see. What is your most important studying material? You have to study it all. I know people are looking for shortcuts. Oh, I just want to watch one DVD. Oh, I just want to watch one video lesson. Study it all. There's so much going on. You need a foundation off which you can build. I would start with penny stocking and penny stocking part 2 and my How to Make Millions DVD. I think those are your first 3 DVDs. And I'm sorry that the How to Make Millions DVD is not included in the challenge. It is physically impossible to include it in the challenge because it is all for charity. So you cannot mix a for-profit education business with a charity, as I have learned the hard way. But the cool thing is How to Make Millions is 35 hours. It's just $297, and we've raised nearly $1 million for charity with its sales. Every dime I get from it goes to charity, and it's very cool. What do I think about VRA? I already explained it. The only potential buy was in the 14s. It's in the 16s, so it's irrelevant. What happened to FSNN? So FSNN announced a big deal, but they're such a sketchy company. It couldn't hold its gains very much, and this chart just not encouraging for me to buy it. It's probably going to go back to being an illiquid piece of shit. Let's see. One sec. I need some water. What are your thoughts on TPIV? Let's see. It's I remember this one. It was an old pump. It tries to go up. Maybe if you buy the breakout here at 75 cents and you sell it at 90 cents, there's just not that much upside. It reminds me of WKHS, which also had a big spike, and now it's testing the highs. I actually have a long-term position on this one, and I sold a good chunk of it today. I bought it in the 50s, and I sold it in the 60s because it just can't break out past 70 here. And it looks like TPIV has similar problems where, it broke the 75 cents, but I don't think it's going to get back here. And today's topping is not very good. Just because it's a former pump, I don't necessarily want to dip by it. If this was an earnings winner and it's up big on earnings and then it comes back to the breakout level, I might dip by it, but this is not an earnings winner. This is a very sketchy company. Let's see. eTrade Pro is not free. You need to do a lot of trades, and I don't encourage you to do that many trades just to get free software. You don't want to feel pressure to trade. That's a broker trick. Oh, have this free software. You just have to make 30 trades per quarter. They don't care. They're still getting paid. If you average the 30 trades per quarter, guess what? You're still paying $10 per trade. Okay? You're still paying the exact same amount that I pay if I don't trade at all. 30 trades per quarter is roughly $300 in commissions for the E-Trade. Guess what? That's the exact same thing as if you pay $99 per month. So they're getting their money no matter what, and they're just making you feel that you have to trade more. Kind of interesting, huh? There's no free lunch. Nothing is free. My team and I have spent nearly $1 million developing stocks to trade. Data is expensive. Programming is expensive. The difference between us and E-Trade is that we don't encourage you to trade like assholes because we actually care. We're invested in you growing your accounts. E-Trade doesn't care. E-Trade looks at however many million, 10, 20, 30 million customers, and they say 90% of these customers are going to lose. How do we make a business around that? Let's offer some sugar-coated bullshit education so that it looks like we care, but in reality, we're really just commission whores. That's what E-Trade should say. That's what their TV ads would say. Not a talking baby, not Kevin Spacey. E-Trade should have an ad that says, you know what? You watching this, you're a gambler. You're an American, because they only accept Americans. You're an American gambler. This country was built on debt and gambling, and you are continuing what your forefathers started. And guess what? We're the tool for you to gamble. And we love commissions. We are whores for commissions. We will beg and moan for commissions. We are E-Trade. Open your account with us and do what the forefathers want you to do. That's what an honest E-Trade commercial would say. Is it any wonder they don't want to work with me? How much volume will you see on a pump on average? Every pump is different. Let's see. How to Make Millions worth it, believe me. Thank you. How to Make Millions, I feel like it's covering everything and anything. Awesome. Thank you. What are your year-to-date earnings from trading only? I'm coming up on $200,000 in trading profits, and I started my account with $100,000. So, pretty good year. Last year I made nearly $1 million from trading profits because I was trading bigger, but the ratio is actually surprisingly the same. Last year I started with $500,000, and I made nearly $1 million. And this year, I started with $100,000, and I made nearly $200,000. So, kind of cool to see that the ratio is the same. So next year, it'll be interesting to see what I do with 12,000. I might just make 24,000 for the year. I don't know. I don't do this for trading profits. The trading profits, I love trading. I'm not aiming for trading losses, but at the same time, it's just a tool for me to show you how to grow a small account. I'm just one example. TXMD is holding near its highs, tempting me, but I will not ignore my travel schedule. Let's see. Where do you find the most reliable news on stocks? In the chat room. Otherwise, you're a slave. I know so many people who track different feeds in like 10 different chat rooms. Again, they're looking for small gains and they're trading 5, 10, 20 stocks per day. And it adds up. They think that's what trading is. Maybe it is. That's not what I teach. That's not what's made me millions. You ever thought about opening up your own online broker? No, because frankly, we would be a terrible broker. Because I would be like, I don't want you guys trading today. There's nothing. And then the broker would shut down because the way that I teach is not profitable for brokers. Dustin says, is more than 10 million volume too much in most cases? It is for me because those stocks are usually very choppy. And that's not good for me when I like to cut losses quickly. You know, even G-Pro, where I was dead on, I wouldn't have lost more than like 5 cents a share had I held. And now I'd be up like $1.50 a share. But that was still too choppy for me. Which DVD has the best times to trade? That would be my Timline DVD. And I talk about specific days, or specific days, but also specific times of the day to trade and different patterns. Do I use my phone to place trades? Nope, never have, never will. Do you know when Live and INVT were alerted in the chat room? Both were being heavily talked about pre-market. What about opening an index? The piece of shit penny stock index, and you just short every single pump and dump? That would be cool. But unfortunately, there's not enough shares to short. I would never invest in an index like the Russell 2000 or something where the smallest companies are the best. We've been in a multi-decade bull market. We are very spoiled. And I'm not, advocating a crash coming anytime soon, but it really wouldn't surprise me. How do I feel about options? We had an options newsletter on Profitly once, and people were like, within a day or two of an alert, people were like, I love this. Why don't you do this? This is amazing. And then the next day they were like, I just lost everything and more. I need to cancel. And that pretty much sums up what options are. Maybe if we can find someone who trades options very safe, but I don't necessarily think that's possible because options are just derivatives of what the underlying stock is doing, and you can be up and down like very quickly. It's like spinning the freaking wheel of fortune. So the problem is you can't trade scared with options. They move too quick. The spread is too great. And you can't cut losses very quickly. So when I can't cut losses quickly, when I can't quantify risk easily, I don't trade it. Sorry if I missed the answer, but what do you suggest for being a bit more brave trading? Don't be more brave. A stock like TERP, a stock like TXMD, they're very, very scary. If you do want to be more comfortable buying stocks, buy perfect breakouts, okay? And when I say buy perfect breakouts, they don't happen very often. I'm trying to think of one where there's like literally a perfect breakout over the former highs, and there's like no question. I don't see any on my current list. Oh, actually, I guess AVXL, even though it's a piece of crap, it had a perfect breakout right here. Right here. And this was, they did a reverse split. So this was kind of choppy. It broke out nicely, and then the very next day, the breakout failed. And then the very next day, the breakout was on again. But this was a perfect breakout. You can clearly see. And then it had an even better breakout here above 10. And even though 3 days later it failed, from 10 to 12 the next day to 14, you make 10, 15, 20, 30, 40% on your money over 3 days. And this was a perfect breakout. So when you find a perfect breakout, you tell me. But I don't see any of those. Oh, MITK actually. There we go. MITK, I bought it, I don't even know how many times. And this one had always failed right here at 415-ish. This one time it got up to like 426. But for the most part, 415, 4-ish was the breakout. And it was choppy here for a few days, if you remember. But once it got above the low 4s, it went to the mid 5s, and there was a nice 20% to be made. One of my Trading Challenge students, Jonas, had patience, and he made 20% on his money. So if you really want to be more patient and focus on the best, you really need those perfect kinds of breakouts. And even those two, it wasn't easy. You're never going to get something that's totally, totally easy. So I would focus on the charts, but also focus on, catalysts. Like if a company says we're going to be in a very positive, article coming up. When I first bought AVXL, if you remember, I sold way too soon, but it broke out. I mean, now they did the reverse split, so everything is screwed up. But it all started right here with AVXL, and it was on a Seeking Alpha article that said this could be the cure for Alzheimer's. And the article, it was teased, it was rumored. You could see the headline because Seeking Alpha used to hide the article, but you could see the headline. It said this stock could double because they might have just found the case, the cure for Alzheimer's. So I bought it, and I was like, we're going to probably see this article in the next day or so, and with the article headline like that, how is this thing going to drop? And it didn't even spike that much. There were a lot of shorts initially, but when you have an amazing catalyst like that and a chart breakout, it just kept going. So I'd wait for something really extreme, like TXMD. I don't know if it's going to break 940 or not right here. I'm guessing it probably won't, actually. But if it comes back down to 9, I'll probably retest it. I'll probably buy this again and again as long as it holds 9-ish, because that is a multi-year breakout. ERII, I should also mention, was a perfect breakout above this level, 772. And remember, it was choppy here for 2 weeks. But then when it broke out, it went from 772 to 950 in a day. And then it failed. So sometimes these perfect breakouts are absolute failures. But in the moment, they work. All right, last few questions. I'm sorry, guys. I got to get going to the airport. Next week, all my craziness will stop, and I will do a 3-hour webinar. I'm sorry. It has been absolutely insane. Oh, and people were asking me about Wolf Millionaire. We have the guides. They are now finally ready. And I will link it. It's wolfmillionaire.com/millionaires with an S. And you can see what my friend and mentor Anthony and I put together just to show you, how to grow your following on Instagram and how to make money on that. Unlike the stock market, there's no risk of losing money. It's just a question, can you actually build your Instagram following and use it to actually make you money? But aside from the strategy guide, there's no money whatsoever. I guess we recommend a few different apps, which are $1. But I really think that Instagram is such a huge opportunity, and I can't encourage you enough to learn it now as opposed to later. No one else has ever created a guide like this, and my friend Anthony has over 13 million followers now. When we made the guide 2 months ago, he had 11 million followers, and he's making a solid 6 figures a year just off his network. So I'm not saying you can necessarily get up to 13 million followers, but if you go to wolfmillionaire.com/millionaires, you can see a whole little video, and I think you'll be impressed with the potential opportunity there. I got so many emails. I should have brought that up earlier. I'm sorry. Let's see. Tim, I see you buy stocks more than you short. What kind of market conditions do you prefer? I totally prefer a bear market. I don't want there to be this many plays. I'm overworked. I'm overexhausted. But in the same time, I see stocks spiking left and right, so I'm not going to ignore them. R2D2 says, true, you can't cut losses quick with options. Tim, seriously, you're a genius for teaching us how to trade and cut losses quick. Thank you. I don't think I'm a genius. I'm just showing you what's worked for me. And that goes against what accepted wisdom is. And that's screwed up. That's why I got into teaching at first, because there was so much misinformation, so many lies. Penny stocks are so scary. You can't control the losses. Maybe if you're trading a penny stock that trades 5,000 shares a day, but that's not what I trade. So I was motivated just to get good information out there. I don't know if that makes me genius. I think it just makes me opportunistic. No different than, Instagram, where people are like, you can't link on Instagram. There's no money to be made. Well, guess what? We found a way. So it's just taking advantage of the opportunities when you see them. If the whole world understood the opportunity as a penny stocks, there wouldn't be an opportunity because everybody would have an Instagram, or everybody would have, penny stocks and short selling. And if everyone understood the opportunity of Instagram, everybody would have an account. Everybody would be utilizing it the right way. But because they're not, that means that there's opportunity for you to profit from the inefficiency, and there's opportunity for me to teach about the inefficiency. So I'm just an opportunist. Let's see. Nels Doggy, great comment. Says being brave makes you cocky and then you end up losing more. Better to get your strategy and emotions down. Trading scared really helps you more. I agree, Nels Doggy. I'm sorry for your losses, but I'm glad that you're on the right track. You say, trust me, I had a great October profit, then I got brave and killed my profits. You're not the first, you're not the last. Wolf says, I've watched all the DVDs on How to Make Millions twice. Do you think I go over it again and again? It's recent. Yeah, I would go over it. I think it's fantastic. I don't think you can study too much. I really don't. Just like you can't stay hydrated enough, like you probably need to drink more water. You don't realize it. It's so important, and you probably need more sleep than you realize. I don't think you can study enough. Study the right stuff. Study strategies from traders who are actually profiting. What is G-Pro doing? Why did someone say, look at G-Pro now? Oh, my God. Now it is $2 above my buy price. G-Pro now $2 a share above my buy alert. I sold way too soon, but glad I alerted everyone early about the Apple rumor. And that's the beauty of me being, understanding the opportunity of teaching, where I've never been a good timer. Never. In all the $4 million that I've made, in my several $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 profit days, I've never timed things very well. But at the same time, I've taken some profits, decent profits, sometimes more than others, and I've been there, and I recognize what catalysts work. So you can feel free to ignore it, but I'm just showing you what's worked for me. Let's see. Aspiring Smart Guy says, can you go back to those breakouts and show us what indicators? Aspiring Smart Guy, those breakouts are no different than what I talk about in How to Make Millions or Penny Stocking Part 2. And if you want me to go over it, just replay this webinar. Crease says, I bought a penny stock months ago. It's gone nowhere but down. Bad example for a short. It's if you buy a stock that's gone nowhere but down, why didn't you cut your losses? This is your first day. Okay, you get a break. In the future, if you buy any stock that goes against you, cut losses quickly. That way you don't risk disaster. Radon says, I'm a Wolf millionaire at 19,800 followers, joined at 12,000. Awesome, Radon. Well, you should definitely watch the full guide. We had a free guide on wolfmillionaire.com, which was 20 pages, which people like. But if you go to wolfmillionaire.com/millionaires, then there's a 20-hour guide by Anthony. And I did a 5-hour intro guide that we throw in. Let's see. Earthshaker says, my friends make hundreds of thousands of dollars selling iPhone accessories on Insta. Earthshaker, can you send an email to admin@timothysykes.com? We'd love to talk to your friend. We love showing, different strategies that are working. No, Anthony has 11 or 13 million followers now. When we made the guide 2 months ago, he had 11 million. So he's been growing at 1 million followers a month, which is kind of crazy. Oh, this guy keeps saying that I'm a genius. Thank you. I can't accept that, but I appreciate it. You stated in penny stocking to study other people, but the ones you stated were irrelevant. Who do you suggest we study outside of your students to study? I mean, I've got enough materials for you to study for right now. When I made penny stocking, I was a young babe in the woods. Now I've kind of really focused, and I think that we have enough for you to study between me, Tim Grittani, Michael Good, Superman, Mark Crook, everybody who has made, quite a bit of money. Tim Grittani has nearly 24 webinars for you Trading Challenge students, all archived, and hardly anybody even watches them. So you guys need to study up. Oh, shoot. All right, I got to get going to my flight, but I promise next week, 3-hour webinar to make up for it. In the meantime, if you want something more to study, again, go to wolfmillionaire.com/millionaires. It's not just about learning from stock trades. It's learning any strategy, really, that can make you money. Be opportunistic. Not to say, believe everybody with, all these different strategies, but always look and see where there might be opportunity. And with penny stocks, the opportunity is that most people hate it. And with Instagram, the opportunity is that most people don't like it because there's no analytics. And it's not like other social networks that are more popular. But Instagram is growing the fastest. And there are reasons why. So I leave you with that thought. Congrats to everybody who nailed INVT, Live, G Pro, KTOV, whatever, VRA, whatever worked for you guys. Just don't be afraid to take profits. Don't be afraid to miss out on plays. And do not overtrade and do not be a gunslinger. Those are a few do nots. Enjoy. I'll see you guys in the chat room tomorrow.
My name is Tim Sykes, and I teach people to trade stocks. I am a self-made multimillionaire.
So this is the ideal trade that I'm going to talk about. I want you guys to understand every single aspect of this trade.